Welcome to the Yankee Cowboy Podcast, coming to you from Dallas, Texas. Here's your host, Tim Wilkins.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Yankee Cowboy Podcast. And today's topic is a fun one, ladies and gentlemen, because, well, yours truly still is a wrestling fan. And we had probably arguably one of the best premium live events in the last couple of years, in my view, based on from start to finish. And I kind of want to talk about it in my view and kind of see where many of the people across the country and around the world are thinking about this premium live event. Of course, we're talking about SummerSlam 2024. Now, today, I'm going to kind of, I think this event alone can kind of put to rest really what this tribalism of fandom on the internet, this internet wrestling community nonsense is really all about. So, and I've been attacked for it, so I'm okay with explaining myself and having a view of, I would say, just being an opportunist here and kind of talking about my view of the wrestling industry. I'm in my 30s. I'm not a 5-year-old kid anymore. I'm not a 10-year-old kid. I'm not a kid anymore. I'm an adult. I'm an adult. And the fact is, when you sit down and watch television or watch anything, and either it be on the internet or be anything you want to watch in your daily life, it should be entertaining. It shouldn't cause you stress. It shouldn't make you hate life or any of that kind of stuff. And the reason why I'm doing this episode is really to kind of get people back to like normalcy a little bit here on the wrestling world, because like it is really scary to read so much of the toxic energy of just the angry. The internet wrestling community has always been really just a bunch of angry people at times because, we don't get what we want. But that might be true when we're like teenagers. You have all that angst. But many of us are adults now. And for y'all to be sitting here arguing amongst each other as grown-ass human beings on the internet is just downright just weird. So, and if you ask me, the $5.99 that you spend on Peacock Premium is well worth the cost of admission to sit there and be entertained for 4.5 hours on a monthly basis by the WWE. And compared to what we used to go through when we were kids and teenagers, when we had to spend $50 a month to watch WrestleMania on one night, or any one of the Royal Rumble or SummerSlam or Survivor Series, or any of these premium live events, as they call them now, we used to spend a boatload of money. So usually when we were teenagers, we used to like go to someone's house and they would order it. You get 5 or 6 of your friends come over to the house, you order pizza or whatever, and you watch the event. The thing is, we're adults now. So can we get out of this hyperbolic chamber of stupidity and just enjoy the show and be entertained? And that's exactly what I was. I was emphatically entertained, and I enjoyed it from start to scratch. And I will tell you this. And anyone that knows me knows that I'm been a Triple H fan for a long time in the wrestling world, from his work in WCW and WWE and just downright, he does the good work. It's a slow churn, as they say. Not everything's going to get paid off. It's not like AEW in that sense, where it's all I call it the hot shot booking, and they're trying to pop a number. This is about telling a story. And I think this premium live event told many stories, and sometimes they finished the story, sometimes they continued it. So it was a good overall premium live event. Now, if you look at the thing, they had Jelly Roll singing one of his new songs and obviously collaborating with an artist of Jelly Roll's stature. Not saying he's a big guy, but he's a huge star in the world today. And to have it was really a true thing. I think it kind of added to the show. having Mike the Miz Mazzini be the host, obviously a hometown kid, obviously added to it as well. But Triple H coming out was pretty cool as well. Um, and it just really truly was a start to finish a really good show. And I think a lot of fans need to kind of chill out a little bit and actually enjoy what we're about to watch or what they watched and just and get used to this style of booking. It's going to be about paying off and slow churning it. And is it predictable? Sure, it might be, but at least enjoy it when it plays out the way it is. Just like many of us thought that Cody Rhodes was going to win at WrestleMania, but how he went about doing it was awesomely entertaining. So people need to be understanding of that. Is they're going to be entertained. So Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan opened the show. There's obviously been some storyline there between those two. Obviously, Dominik Mysterio's in there, but really, the way they kind of ended the match finish here was really just intriguing because it 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 got the job done, as they say. A little bit great emotional reaction by the commentators in that moment, and really just the only difference though, honestly, is I think the ring work with Liv Morgan could be better. Like she's not Rhea Ripley when it comes to the ring work, but when it comes to I would say the angles and the way she acts and the way she does things, okay. So I think it could have really been a little bit better in the ring, but that's just me being a criticism. That's just I think every single person you watch in the wrestling ring can always be a little bit better, and that's just the way the industry is. So the reason why I say that is that the match didn't really flow as much until the very end, but great opening match. Very surprised that match opened up first. Um, Not surprised in the sense where I think it took considerable amount of minutes and it paid off. So great opening to the show. Obviously, the second match was the Intercontinental, I believe. Yep, the Bron Breakker and Sami Zayn match, which Bron Breakker has been booked arguably as one of the big men that can actually be athletic, and it's really scary to watch him work sometimes because truly how athletic he is. And the amount of springboards and the amount of this big athleticism moves shows that this man does have potential to really, really pay it off well over time. And it's only about 5 minutes. They really didn't have a lot of time in this match. Um, and Zayn was going to do it, and I think that match probably could have went a little bit longer, if you ask me. If you truly asked, like the difference, the match length wasn't really that bad. Even on the girls' match, I think it was. Hold on a second. Let me just see what the timing of that was. Um, yeah, the timing of the girls' match didn't go long. It just the angle went a little long. So he probably went about one or an extra 2 minutes in the match length, but for the angle. But the Braun Sammy only had about 5 minutes plus intro, so they probably had arguably probably about 8 to 9 minutes probably total time on camera. So I think that match probably could have gotten a little bit more, but truly I think Zayn had to drop the title, obviously. Not saying this to be against Sami Zayn in any way. I think it was just, it's time to put the young man in a good spot and see what he can take the title and go from there. Stephanie McMahon was shown on camera, which I mean, okay. She's allowed to be there. She's obviously the daughter of arguably the greatest promoter in the wrestling business. regardless of what people think about Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Uh, his accomplishments in the industry as a whole cannot be you can't be forgotten, and either can his family. So for Stephanie to be there in the crowd was pretty weird. With this, her clapping was kind of weird. Just can't be excited. Um, the next match was the Logan Paul versus LA Knight, and I can tell you this the crowd reaction for LA Knight is just unparalleled. I think in comparison to just in the modern era. Like, you like that reaction, and it's just fun to be around and listen to that match. The match went about 12 minutes. Um, his first title for LA Knight to win that title. Um, it's probably long overdue, as they say. And I think Logan Paul, his off camera comments probably weren't the issue, but they made it probably a heck of a lot easier for Triple H to make that decision. Um, I think Triple H probably made that decision to have LA Knight go over probably way before any of those comments came out. But definitely it was a no brainer in my opinion on the match. Very well put together, probably one of the better ones of the night. Um, that's just me. Those two probably had arguably one of the better matches of the night. The Bailey and Nia Jax match was tough to watch. Um, only went about 12 minutes. Um, just different. And just I think the girls' match here, it was not smooth. It wasn't anything I enjoyed watching. So I kind of used that as a filler to go do something, go to the bathroom, grab something to drink real quick. But I will say the match of the night was the next one up. Uh, it actually the match of the night in my view was the match before the main event, and it's not this one. This CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre match, arguably with Seth Rollins as a guest referee, just just stunk up the joint. Just arguably wasn't good. Too much angle, not enough in ring work, and a lot of smoke and mirrors. Like it just to me, it wasn't enough in ring work. There's a lot too much smoke and mirrors action, too much. Um, it's too much stuff that if you weren't watching the premium live event and you were live, you probably couldn't see some of the things that they were doing in the ring. So, um, the thing is too is it's also CM Punk's first match in WWE post injury, and I think for him to do arguably the amount of minutes that he did about 16, 17 minutes total. Cardio wise is probably one of the best I've seen him do. It's not MJF and CM Punk in a dog collar match, but it's pretty arguably close. He's obviously in ring shape. Could he have gone probably another 10 minutes? Sure, but they were running out of stuff to do and how much smoke and mirrors they can throw the crowd at too. So I think there needs to be a little bit more of CM Punk versus McIntyre or Punk and Rollins. Kind of work on that a little bit. So Punk has some opportunities on who he likes to work with, potentially down the road, and that's going to be very entertaining, I think, for the fans as well to see how that kind of goes forward. Not as uninteresting as the women's match between Bailey and Nia Jax. That Tiffany Stratton thing is a little weird because you kind of know she's got that briefcase lurking, so it's coming, right? So it's not as predictable, but it very much could be, right? So the next match, I believe, arguably, in my view, was match of the night. And it is one of the craziest matches I probably have watched in a very, very long time because these two guys, obviously Damian Priest is I would say on the size front, he's a big man, in the wrestling industry. And the way he works is an athletic one. So it's very unique. His strikes mean more, it's power. But then you got guys like Gunther who literally will chop the shit out of you and just have a good time. So literally these guys had a phenomenal physical match, and it meant something. It really was a good match. Before the Finn Balor interference at the end, it really truly was a great match. I don't think there was it was fluid. It was definitely it rolled together well, and everything was put together really well. The angle finish obviously gives Damian Priest an off ramp to work with Finn Balor. Kind of gives, obviously Finn Balor can work in the ring better than most. So those two guys going down the road will be really good and interesting match later on down the road. And I think that kind of gives the one thing about this premium live event as a whole was that there was not very many, as a lot of critique of the internet wrestling community would be, is there was not too many unexpected results, but the results that occur and the way they played out were very entertaining. That's the overwhelming consensus that I have, from a lot of fans, is that the show was phenomenal. Now, of course, there's always going to be those that are very critiquish and me over the, I call them, over the balls and strikes. But to be fair, um, it's very, very great. I think match of the night was Damian Priest and Gunther. Deservingly so, to be the second to last match, or the match before the main event. And I, obviously you can't steal the fact that the Universal SmackDown World Title is, with Cody Rhodes and Solo going at it on the main event. Not to be remiss, but the segment before the main event was with Jelly Roll and The Miz and R-Truth, which, by the way, R-Truth is historically and still to this day the most entertaining human being of all time. It doesn't matter if he's a wrestler or any kind of entertainment. He is phenomenal to watch. Just the way I would say improv is just definitely his name of his game, and it works. It works so well. Like, for example, I still want to know where Jimmy is. I haven't found little Jimmy, but I think I universally think that this match here at the very end obviously was deservingly so. But the thing is, Cody, regardless of what fans believe about Cody Rhodes, and I'm not the greatest Cody Rhodes fan, it was very nice to see one thing: the enforcer, Arn Anderson, come home to the WWE. Arn Anderson is a huge proponent of history, and he knows the industry and the business, and he can be a huge asset. And obviously, Triple H enjoys having the legends around. We're seeing those more and more come back under his leadership with Jesse the Body Ventura and many other guys who have had some very, very questionable arrangements with the WWE. But the thing is here, I really don't think the introduction of a Cody Rhodes needed to be this long. I understand why they're doing more of these, I would say, unique camera angles and maybe unique perspectives on the way to the industry, on the way to the wrestling ring. Especially, I mean, wrestling fans, we used to never get to see the curtain or the gorilla position. To see that now as a fan is pretty unique, and it's very interesting. And I think it's something that I hope they use more of, because a lot of wrestlers, the ones that they do show, it doesn't really mean anything to them. It seems like it's just kind of a walk. The ones that are very in tune to themselves and the big moments, they don't show those camera shots of the gorilla position. Like, for example, CM Punk walking through the curtain on a return after an injury, or Roman Reigns getting ready to come back. They haven't shown that. So, okay, this match, the rules of this match were arguably something that I don't necessarily enjoy as a wrestling fan. I call it lazy booking. It's the Bloodline rules match, or anything goes, which basically means, hey, we're gonna have everybody in the kitchen sink come out and help each other and get this thing over with. Um, to have Kevin Owens come out was cool and unique. But I think universally, to have the introduction of the return of Roman Reigns, the new song, it was something different. It's not the usual one. A lot more drums, a lot more build up, more like the Hollywood rock sound, if that makes any sense, to a lot of wrestling fans. And so when you have that long introduction, not to mention that these guys, and this is one thing I only had the only knock I had on the show was that it was inside of a stadium, because the ring walk, you can't cut the ring walk down. The ring walk is arguably the worst part of the introduction. It takes forever to get to the ring. So for Roman to have that long of a walk to the ring and then kind of jog into the ring, slide in, do his thing, it definitely goes without saying that return was probably the most. They didn't really need to do anything different than what they originally were going to plan to do in the ring. Both guys can work. Seeing just uniquely see Jacob Fatu go through a table and be really athletic, and just I'm very interested to see what Jacob Fatu goes forward with down the line, because that man is the most remarkable athlete I've seen in the ring in a long time, other than Bron Breakker, who, he's ex-athlete, ex-college football player. But Jacob has been in the industry for a little while now, and he's definitely gotten leaner. He looks better than he probably ever has, and he's working at a really high rate. So it's going to be very interesting to see what he can do, maybe with Roman Reigns or maybe with Solo or anybody else. It's very interesting how they're going to intrigue that storyline going forward. Obviously, with Paul Heyman not back yet, that's going to be intriguing as well. The tribal chief is back, and we'll see what happens here. I think wrestling fans as a whole need to understand one unique thing, that everyone's fandom in the industry is different. But one thing that's universal that I think every single fan wants is to be entertained. And this is one premium live event that I think collectively we were all entertained by. Now, this is not a WWE versus AEW mantra versus anything that goes on. The WWE does things differently. WWE does things at a higher, bigger, just everything is it is like the Walmarts, it is the big it is the cream of the crop. It is not something that we're trying to figure out. This is not anything among anything. I think AEW needs to stop talking about WWE in a sense of negative and be about the industry as a whole. Your job is to collectively raise the level of these athletes to a high level, to sell merchandise and to sell tickets for fans to come and want to watch them perform. The tribalism gets old after a while. To hear these promos from one of the star athletes in AEW just knocking where they came from. I don't care why you're there. I appreciate that you are there. But let's put on some great matches. Let's put on some great angles. Let's do some great work. And that's one thing that I think universally that many wrestling fans have forgotten about. This is about entertainment. And I think some of these ex-WWE athletes going over to AEW, like Sasha Banks, Edge, it's very different. For example, Mark Henry, son being announced this past week to go to the Performance Center was awesome, because one thing about Mark Henry, if you watch any of his social media work with his son, was not about him being a wrestler or ex-wrestler. It was about his son breaking records in weightlifting and powerlifting and just being a human being and being a father. That was awesome. So I wish nothing but the best for Jacob Henry. We're looking forward to the things to come. I think we as wrestling fans down the stretch here at the end of the year, we're only getting ready to go into WrestleMania season. We have War Games coming around the corner. We have, Crown Jewel. We have, obviously, in January, we have the Royal Rumble. So we have many things to look forward to. I think we as wrestling fans are going to be really entertained. I appreciate you guys joining me about this. Feel free to interact with me on social media. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the shows, as always. This is Yankee Cowboy signing off.
Thank you for listening to the Yankee Cowboy Podcast. Feel free to follow us on social media via Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook.